Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. We have a kick-ass episode for you today. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard. You're watching Splash Pages Comic Book Club. And as always, Velvet Joker. How's it going, my friend?
It's going great. Excited about tonight's show. It's pretty awesome.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Drew, my friend, how's it going?
I'm good. I know I'm clean shaven, so I feel like my perception's a little weird now. But when did we get an Avenger intro?
We've had that in the queue for a while. I was afraid to play it because somebody convinced me that I would get sued for playing it. But yeah, I hired an awesome artist to commission that. So that's awesome. All original art.
Yeah, nice. I felt very inspired watching that. But yeah, come back to me later. I'm eating.
Totally. We have somebody in the green room here. We'll Velvet Joker. Would you brought somebody with you? Hold on.
I did. I did. Oh yeah, I did. I invited two very, very special people.
God damn it.
One I've known for gotta be close to 7-8 years now. Mr. Rich Stafford, the true Aquaman cosplayer and fitness guru, and his newly engaged bride-to-be, the goddess, the empress herself, Athena Finger.
What an intro.
Heir to the Batman.
Oh my God.
How are you tonight, Athena?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad to finally meet you face to face.
It is very nice to meet you face to face.
Awesome. So I've known your hubby to be for quite a long time. Rick and I, where is he? Is he running late?
He's coming on any second.
Yeah, is he like spearing a narwhal or something?
I was going to say, are you saying? Is
he talking to the fishies?
Miss Finger, are you saying that he likes to make a splash? Just is that
yes,
that's
he's
where we're
definitely
going?
all about the entrance. Okay.
Yeah. Kings and whatnot. They do like to flair for
royalty.
The dramatics.
He's the true royalty.
Absolutely. But we're super happy that you're here, of course. Mm-hmm. And I'm almost speechless. It's so awesome to actually have you here and to be in your presence because I first learned about your grandfather when I first moved up here to Massachusetts. Someone put on a play in a community theater, a gentleman that watches here called Dave Almeida. and he put on a play about your dad, and I
I
first
was at
learned
that
about
first opening night for that
What's-
performance, and I was also at the very first Rhode Island that Lenny did, the actual writer of the play. So I was at both of those performances.
That's awesome.
Oh wow!
I'm surprised we didn't meet. Were you there at the opening night? For the one
I
that
was
Dave
not
did?
there opening night. I got there at a late.
That's why.
I think I was there the last weekend of the show, and
So
it was a great show.
That sucks.
It was a great show.
It was. It was. Actually reworked the show, and he will be doing it off Broadway in New York, I believe.
Oh, cool.
next
That's
year.
awesome.
I have to
That's
check on
awesome.
that because he's so busy. He does so much.
Now, Athena, I don't want to take all your attention because I have my buddies here. That's Leo up on the
Hi,
left,
Leo.
Hello.
and he is the head of the Dorkening Podcast Network, and he has over 40 shows on his network.
Oh wow!
And he's a big fan of the Batman.
Oh,
Awesome.
Yeah, and absolute pleasure to meet you. Yeah, I'm lost for words right now because this is
Oh no!
Look at us, we're all verklempt.
we're graced with royalty. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you for joining us. And we have Drew here, which is
Thank you. I was about to say
I hope your dinner was good.
chickpeas. Gotta love it. Healthy
Ooh,
dinner.
Yummy.
You know, made by the lady of the house. So
hold on. Was it actually chickpeas or was it Ghostbusters cereal?
okay, you know what? First things first. Okay.
Ooh.
All right. She doesn't need to know these things. We have to gradually ease her into each of our individual
No,
personalities.
just rip it off.
No, it's fine. You know what? Fine. No, so first things first. Hi, these two suck at introductions, so I'm going to take control of the time. It is a pleasure to meet you. I have been a fan of the Batman for ages. When Rich said, "Oh, we're going to be doing this," I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" Like, we really are extending our budget. This is fantastic. And I've told a few people who are alpha nerds, like all three of us, and they're like, "That's amazing." I was like, "This is my Tuesday night, so y'all need to level up because this is the kind of thing I'm doing." But also because we found out we were going to be in the presence of a cosplay king, I was like, "Well, I gotta make sure I'm wearing the proper stuff." So I'm like,
"That's a
same
nice
club,
shirt.
buddy.
Where'd you get that one? I don't think
this is a
that
gift.
one."
This is a Christmas gift. I myself am an Aquaman fan, Brave and the Bold all the way, just because
Awesome.
I like saying outrageous in brazen tones. But as I was saying, so psyched you're here. So many questions to ask, but we only have so much time. So take it away, Rich.
You'll have to have me on again.
See,
absolutely, we'll have a repeat performance.
Totally.
Rich, nicely done. We
now,
like
Athena.
we like
now you are a professor of mathematics. Is that correct?
I used to be. When I lived in South Florida, I was teaching at a small college, and I did teach developmental mathematics, and I loved it. And then I relocated to Orlando, and I gave up that job and taught a little bit here in Orlando, but I'm actually leaving education and switching gears and going into something else. Gotta mix it up a little bit,
It's a tough game.
Just curious, and definitely don't want to pry, but my wife was a teacher as well, and unfortunately, she left teaching due to just the abysmal pay of teachers.
It's not just that; it's the bullshit you have to put up with. Sorry, I'm just gonna say it.
No,
it's complete crap.
Can curse and say fuck, shit, damn, crap, all that stuff.
Okay, because it is.
Get us an NC-17 rating. Go for it.
What they are making, not just the teachers, but what the students are going through. I still teach privately. I've been a private tutor for almost 20 years. Mm-hmm. And what I see that's happening is not of any benefit. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe it's just particular for where I am and what I've come across, but there's so much dependence on the computer and so much dependence on standardized tests and so little emphasis on free thought or creativity at a young age. that we're getting these little drones of people that don't really know how to think for themselves anymore, because they have a computer that can do all their thinking for them, and they can just type. They don't even have to type into it. They just have to speak to it, and it will answer all their questions or do whatever task they want them to do. So it's really bizarre because I'm pretty old school. I like, a piece of paper and a pencil, and you write down the problem and you work it out, and then there's a real connection with what you're trying to learn. But that's just the way I think education should be. And I don't fit into that mold, so I have to, move on.
Oh, thank you for the honest answer. And
Of course, I could talk education. That's a whole other podcast.
My mom, just like Leah's wife, my mother was a teacher for 40 years, and I even was a substitute teacher at one point. So totally, we get it. But someone else just joined. So hello.
Yes. Royalty showed up finally. He had to make his entrance.
Hey, Rick, how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys tonight?
Awesome. It's my buddies Leo and Drew, and that's Athena right next to you.
Oh, hi.
Yes.
Oh my God, no way.
It's nice to meet you.
Oh, she is. She's so attractive. Oh my God.
Now, Rick, I've known you online for got to be somewhere between 6 and 10 years.
At least, yeah.
Now we bonded as fathers, and you were doing Aquaman, and I was doing Joker up in New York, and you were doing Aquaman down in Florida, and somehow we discovered each other, and
probably in the middle of Dragon Con.
Okay, possibly so, because of your amazing armored Aquaman cosplay that you did, which was phenomenal, of course. But now, congratulations to both you two, because you are now engaged.
We are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Totally.
Permagrin. That's what's been happening. Is
the king of Atlantis
Oh,
and the
we're gonna
empress
show the
of
video.
Gotham.
Oh, we're totally going to show the video.
Oh, yeah, we're showing it. Now, Rick sent us this video where he was getting his jump wings. He jumped out of a plane like a maniac.
6 times.
Multiple times. Yeah, 6 times.
And then he has to go through this line of giant men punching this pin into his chest.
Yeah, these are all special.
How red was your chest that evening?
Surprisingly, not that bad. I mean, once the blood was washed off, it was almost like Wolverine healing. I mean, it was actually.
You know what? Listen, people do birthday punches harder than this. Like, this is.
Yeah, but this is like putting actual puncture into his skin, more than one.
Yeah, that is a pin.
That's some stabbing.
I mean, there was
No, the backing.
There's blood there.
You can see the blood.
They're not messing around, and he did that twice. He got it on both sides.
He kept smiling. He kept smiling no matter what.
Of course.
Yeah, because I knew it was coming.
You cannot flinch. You can flinch, but you can't. You got to take it like a man.
I'm watching the video. I'm watching all the guys come down the line. I'm like, oh man, that guy coming up is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're intimidating.
And these were all special operations.
They're the nicest guys ever.
But so he said, "Oh, you got to watch this video," and I watched this. I was like, "Man, this is better than when people propose at conventions." And I've been involved in some of that. I mean, those are pretty epic, especially if you know it's coming. You're like, "Oh man!" But then this, I was like, "It's going to come out of the damn plane." Proposing is nothing. Oh yeah, no. That is that much. Oh, here we go. That was worth getting punched 26 times, guys.
For the world to see. Yay.
Outrageous.
Definitely a happy moment.
And Miss Finger, think of it this way: you can say, "What did he do after he proposed?" Well, he jumped out of a plane. So
the very next
which
day
I did.
There you go.
Did.
And pulled through.
Yeah, and
I
actually
was supposed
the
to
next
jump out of a plane tandem that day, but the weather had turned and I wasn't able to jump. And so he had this whole thing planned and I had no idea. And I just like I look a wreck because I was like, yeah, whatever. I didn't get to jump. There's not going to be any pictures of me. I'm not gonna whatever. You know, it's the end of the day. Everybody's
and then
sweating
and then she
and jumping
regretted
out
it the rest
planes
of the
all
time.
day. And then he pulls this on me and I'm like, ooh.
I even threw a hint. I even threw a hint to her. I said,
totally
"Hey,"
did, and I was just like, "Yeah, whatever."
I said, "Hey, put on some eye makeup or something. Just be around the guys. Kind
It
of
was
doll up a
awesome,
little
though.
bit."
Subtle.
Look how happy
Totally
you guys look.
surprised
That's
me.
awesome. You guys look so happy. That's the best part of it. And Athena, have you jumped out of a plane too?
I was going to, but like I said, the weather. It got really cloudy and the winds picked up, so they didn't think it was going to be safe. But I am going to do it.
Awesome.
It's on my list of things to do. So hopefully in the next few months, I'll be able to get out there and actually do my jump. Because it's something I've wanted to do for a long time.
Can we get a bat cape on you? Can we get a bat cape on you? Rick, can we make that happen, Rick?
I'm working on that. Funny story, though, is the special operations guys who run this program, they actually want me to do a water jump because they did a water jump on Sunday. I wasn't there on Sunday. We did a convention in Leesburg, so we weren't able to be there for Sunday. Otherwise, I would have totally done a water jump. But they want me to come back in March when they're doing Operation Sand Snake and do a water jump in an Aquaman costume. So that is in the work.
Jump.
Awesome.
Yep.
So you're creating a new thing called cos jumping. So
Yes,
that's what
pretty
I'm
much.
hearing.
Yes.
Okay, so
now I
Well, there is a Wonder
one to do it, but
because there was a Wonder Woman who actually jumped. She's a skydiver out there, and she actually dresses as Wonder Woman and jumps out. And there's another one that does a Mandalorian, has a full Mandalorian armor, and we didn't see it. We heard about it.
right.
Leo, that's the way.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, that is the way.
That is the way.
Throw out a baby Grogu and chase it.
There you go.
Now, Rick,
But
Rick, in true Aquaman fashion, now you swim every morning a huge distance.
Yes.
How long is that?
Well, like today, 3 miles today.
3 miles. And
Yeah,
and how many years ago were you double your current size?
As
Physically?
far as I don't know. I mean, at one point I was 240 pounds at my highest weight.
Right. And you just worked that all off. It's amazing. What a journey you've been on.
Yeah, I got turned down for health insurance. And that was kind of like, oh, well, I thought I was just big boned or that, it was all muscle. And it wasn't. It was fat. And I was lying to myself. And I said, okay, you know what? I got to do something about this. So went back to military style training. And for the next 20 plus years, just stayed the course. And I actually ran a fitness program, military style fitness program for over 20 years.
Nice.
That's incredible.
oh boy.
Quite a journey.
Yeah. 2 Ironmans later. So.
And now, how did you actually end up meeting Athena? Did you meet her at a con?
Actually did, at a very small con, probably no bigger than the room you're in.
At the same person whose con we were at on
Sunday.
So that he couldn't do the jump.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was kind of like our anniversary con.
Exactly. So we had to do his con for him because that was our anniversary con. But the funny thing was, it was such a small con that I didn't even do Aquaman.
Whoa.
I figured it wasn't even worth doing Aquaman, and I hadn't gotten to wear some of my other con outfits. So I said, you know what? Let me do my Fallout cosplay, my Bolt Dweller.
Mm-hmm.
So I put on this skin tight, Bolt suit, which I think is what led to where we are now. And and Athena wasn't promoting who she was at all.
No, I was trying to peddle my artwork.
So we go to cons and we see artists, and she's just another artist. And so while I was chit chatting at her table, she said, "Hey, can I, friend you on Facebook because I like your butt?" And
No,
she didn't say that,
I didn't say that. Oh my God.
but you were thinking it though.
That came later.
Listen,
Yeah.
she wants to know what's in that vault, man. She gets it.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did.
So we became friends on social media. Didn't chit chat much, and then several months later, I did an open post on social media about my birthday was coming up. I said, "Hey, anybody who wants to come."
The same birthday as my grandfather, Bill.
Yeah, which I do now.
Wow.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's all kinds of rules.
She's
Yeah,
never
all
gonna
the
forget
strings
now.
all connect. Nope.
Mhm.
So I put out, "Hey, everybody who wants to come to Disney Springs, let's just meet there because it's a free place to come. It's not a theme park. It doesn't require an admission because it's a shopping and food district." So, and she sent me a message. "Hey, I saw your request. Can I come to your birthday event?" I said, "Sure." She goes, "Well, I'm driving up from Fort Lauderdale. Do I need to get a hotel?" And I said, "Well, no, I've got a spare bedroom. You're more than welcome to use my spare bedroom." So we went to the event. She had a good time. We went back to the house, and then she goes, "Hey, do you have Hulu?" And I said, "No." Well, so she loads her Hulu account into my smart TV, and says that, "Well, there's this cool documentary I want you to watch. And it's about Batman." "Okay, sure." Called Batman and Bill. So we begin to watch it, and it's like really fascinating. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's on Hulu. It's an exclusive.
We've all seen it.
We've seen it.
Okay.
Multiple times.
We all did
been
the
there.
research.
We've
You
all
come
been
on
on
the
the
show.
journey.
We're gonna do the research, man. We
Gotcha.
ain't gonna, come on.
So
But continue.
So as we're going along, he talks about, as he talks about how he goes to Fort Lauderdale to meet this one missing link to Bill Finger. And he goes up to the door, knocks on the door, and a young woman answers. And I'm looking at the person next to me going, "So you're the granddaughter of the creator of Batman?" "Yeah." "Cool."
Shameless, subtle, Miss Finger,
No.
very subtle.
Yeah. So
the sweat
here's where
starts
it
to
gets
permeate
even better.
off his brow.
Well, no, it was cool because I said, "Okay, I've watched your documentary. Now let's put my documentary in." So I have a documentary called Heart of an Empire, and it talks about how I got into cosplay. It talked about the passing of my son and how I wound up starting off in the Star Wars world, and that then parlayed into the superheroes after a while. But I started as a Star Wars fanatic and doing a whole bunch of stuff with the 501st and the Rebel Legion due to my son.
Right.
And if you haven't done that research, definitely check it out. That you can actually find on YouTube, and it's called Heart of an Empire. And you can actually find just my clip of the movie. And so she was like, "Oh, look, now we both have documentaries. We both have IMDb pages with documentaries on them. That's pretty cool." So we already had something in common. Well, then she came back a few weeks later to go and do Universal Studios. She said, "Hey, I love Universal. I have an annual pass." And she goes, "Well, I'll get a day ticket. We'll go Universal." So end of the day, had a good time. She converted her day pass to an annual pass. So then every few weeks she would call me up and I want to use my annual pass. So a couple of months went by of this, and finally we're walking.
Like I was.
Yeah, and
he got me back.
and so we're actually leaving the park, and she just spun me around and goes, "Look, I like Universal, like it enough to drive 3 hours every time to come here. I'm here trying to date you. So are we dating?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess."
Get with a club once in a while.
Wow. Miss Finger, you're about as subtle as a billboard. So
You had to hit her with the Harley Quinn hammer. Bang!
Yeah.
Rick, come on.
Pretty much.
So-
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So,
Come on.
so Rick, what I'm hearing is if either of us, if any of us were actually still single, the way to a girl's heart is show her a documentary that you're in, and if you're not, make one, and then take her to Universal, and then you're in, right? That
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, that's the game book right there. Yeah.
Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Okay, because he was not having it, and I'm like, how can he be this clueless? How? I drove 3.5 hours.
Have you seen
multiple
some
times
sea
a
animals, Miss Finger? Have you seen
Each
some
way.
aquatic life?
That's
Some
one
aquatic
way.
life is kind of
3.5
dumb.
hours one way.
Like Athena, some lobsters will hop in the pot. Okay, so we can't criticize them that much, but at least at least he caught on. I mean, you had to shake him a little, but
Yeah, definitely.
you're here.
My wife has a perfect answer to that. You have girl brain and boy brain. You know, it's definitely
No, it's true.
totally.
It's very true. But it's okay.
But
'cause
she's got the
we're
ring,
such a
doesn't
good
she?
fit,
She does.
and,
Yeah, she does.
You know, we both support each other in both what we do. I am not in the cosplay world, so I'm sick.
Might
It's
wanna
just a
stay that
different
way.
medium. I paint, I draw, I like photography and things like that. So he is fully supportive of that side, plus me having to be a public figure, sharing Bill's story and you know communicating with the fans and doing fun things like this, doing podcasts and interviews. So and I fully support his cosplay because that's part of how we met and it's a part of who he is. So having this great team of us was just a really a good fit for both of us. I mean, we can kind of take on the con scene and be like, hey, you get a 2-for-1 and let's go. Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Well, and that's what happened. You know, I'll get invited to a convention and say, "Hey, how would you like the granddaughter of Batman at your event as well? You know her? Maybe." And and then
You might have it
and yeah, and then or she'll get invited and go, "Hey, I've got the TRUE Aquaman, and here's some photos of who he is, and here's his acting and cosplay world." And so yeah, so we kind of get a 2-for-1 to the promoters, and they really love the idea. Sometimes we even share a table. So.
Nice.
yeah, I mean, it works out really nice.
I feel like
Athena,
I'm learning a lot here, guys.
When I imagine when Mark Taylor Nobleman originally reached out to you, it kind of changed your life.
It did in a lot of ways, and it's still changing. I mean, I was in a weird time into my life. I had not thought about the Batman situation on my father's side of the family in quite some time. And so it kind of was like a wake up. You got to deal with it. It wasn't just the Batman issue. It was a lot of family issues that I kind of just dealt with the tools that I had at the time, which was not very good. Being 15 and losing your dad at that age and having this huge responsibility kind of put upon you. So, I mean, when he got in touch with me, I was like, all right, well, I guess I have to face it now. I mean, it was a long process. He contacted me in like 2006. We didn't really meet until 2007. Wow. It took him, you know, a lot of convincing to come on, Athena, you really got to do this. Like, it's time. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I really want to do this. So,
right, because you've got your life going on.
Start the process. It would kind of unfolded in front of me because I wasn't part of the comic world in any way. So, I had to navigate the whole culture and business quickly. Yeah. And so, luckily, I had some great people reach out to me in the beginning that were extremely knowledgeable and supportive for the cause. So that was comforting, considering it was such a huge task that I was about to take on. So, and Mark was a big part of that. Without his research, you know, a lot of the truth wouldn't be exposed. I mean, I knew, my dad knew, various other people knew, but it wasn't so widely known as it is now. I mean, when I came into the scene in 2014, I thought maybe there was a handful of people who knew my grandfather. I didn't know there was a whole community of people that knew who he was and what he did. And so it was a big awakening for me to see that
Mm-hmm.
people did know and they wanted him to get the credit. And it was like, it was very different than what I was exposed to when it first was handed off to me. But I mean, times are different. We didn't have the internet back in the early 90s like we do now.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a big thing, is like having that free communication really was a momentum on all parts.
Sure. Now, Athena, do you feel comfortable with talking about your father at all? Is
Yeah,
that okay?
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
If I cry, I cry. It just happens.
Do you remember as a child, did he talk about his father a lot?
Well, I didn't get to grow up with my dad. So my parents split when I was 3. So I got to see my dad maybe a couple times a year. And then when he got sick, it was a little less.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he did talk about his dad, and you know, the big story about him reading the comics when he was, you know, when he was a preteen for his dad, and kind of helping him with that and stuff like that. That's pretty much what I remember from what he would talk about. It's him constantly working on these stories, and he really did do this wonderful thing with this character, and it's, you know, he really did make a full effort to get credit for his dad. So it wasn't like I didn't have specifics, and I'm sure he did, but I didn't have my dad all the time for him to repeat these stories or give me a lot of stories, because I had very limited time with him.
Right. Now, and being a chef, did he make you anything special that you always loved that, you know, really connected you guys?
Yes, his chocolate mousse cake was always my favorite.
Oh, I'm a huge fan of
he
chocolate
made
mousse
amazing
cake.
pancakes. He did this thing with pancakes where they were actual pancakes. They were like super thick and fluffy and so good. Oh, he was an amazing cook. He really was. And he was all self-taught, and he was an artist. He was a painter also. Like, he is extremely creative, and he was, you know, part of that movement in the 80s where food is just not to be slopped in the part on the plate. It's actually a medium that you can make beautiful, like art, like paint, like sculptures. So he was part of that also. So he was very creative, very, very creative.
I'm starting to understand how Rick is doing that 3-mile swim now. It's just to work off breakfast. So I'm getting it now. I'm getting understanding. I'm understanding a little bit now, because that's a lot. So, okay.
Oh, Athena's an amazing cook.
Now I want pancakes, so thank you.
I'm so sorry.
I'm trying to be healthy, and I'm just some waffles, syrup, butter, just.
Yeah, we're all getting hungry.
Yeah, I'm. You know, Rich, keep going. I'm fighting it.
Well, I'm really happy that you guys have that amazing connection and that you have those cherished memories. It's really important, Athena. And I didn't want to totally, or we all didn't want to totally dominate the conversation about Bill, your grandfather, because, you know, you're an important person too, and you're a creative being. And from a personal standpoint, next time you guys are up in Mass, me and Harley will certainly welcome you into our home and give you a beautiful gourmet meal.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Just chat and have
what part
wine.
Of Massachusetts are you in? Because I actually
we're in Framingham.
Oh, no way! I lived in Boston for a long time, and I grew up in the New Bedford area. So I'm from Massachusetts. That's where I spent most of my childhood and young adult life.
Right.
My best friend was from Framingham, so that's why I laugh. I know exactly where you are.
Well, I followed Harley up here 3 years ago because she has a disability, and as you know, Massachusetts has amazing medical insurance.
Oh, yes. So, I know. Yep.
So here I am in the cold belt, going more north all the time.
I left a long ago.
So next time you guys come up, if you have the opportunity, we would really like to host you for dinner.
That would be awesome.
Awesome.
Well, we might be up there in May. I'm looking to do probably another 600 miles on the Appalachian Trail, and
I
so
saw some of those videos.
Yeah, so I went from North Georgia up to West Virginia at Harper's Ferry. So what I'm thinking of doing is going to Boston, getting on trail in Massachusetts and work my way back to Harper's Ferry, which is about 600 miles. And then the following year, I'll go back to Boston and then go from there up to Katahdin in Maine.
You're a machine.
He is.
I gotta do more.
And
How do you
somewhere
keep
get
up,
married
Athena?
in the middle of all of this.
Do you try to grab like a Wonder Woman lasso and just, oh, Rick?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't stifle him. It's who he is.
Oh,
No, absolutely.
so,
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Leo, Rich, I'm going to start doing push-ups till the next show. I'll see you guys later. I'm just.
So I just wanted to share. We do have a bunch of information for Athena and Rick in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And I brought up your website. You have some past artwork here, which is utterly amazing.
Oh, thank you. I have more recent stuff on my Instagram and Facebook. But these are all samples of my work that I've done. The fans obviously love the renditions of the old covers and things like that. But I've done some original pieces that people have asked that Bill was incorporated into the piece somehow, or just other fun pieces that I love it. So I just wish I had more time for it. Being back in school, I forgot how time consuming it is. So no, it's a lot of fun, and these pieces were a lot of fun to paint. So
now, can people buy the art?
They can. I also do commission work. So if you want to reach out to me through social media, I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So you can always reach out and feel free to ask me questions about anything that I have, because a lot of these I have posters of, or I can do, like I said, an original. So.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Athena, I just want to give you one or two more quick questions, and then I'll hand it over to the boys, because I don't want to dominate the whole show.
You're doing fine, buddy.
With all the research that was done between the documentary and the book that was put out, did you get to keep or see or hold on to all those like rare tapes and audio interviews, or like the letter that guy wrote that Bob Kane refuted? Did you get any of that stuff or copies of that stuff?
I have some copies of the stuff. I have audio of Bill. I have the little clip of my father being interviewed. A really nice gift that I got the first time I went to DC to meet the staff, and this is when Paul Levitz was still the head of DC Comics.
Great guy.
And he was giving me a tour of his office, and he said, I want to give you a present. And so I was like, okay, like this, you don't need to give me anything, like, but okay. And he gave me the last script that Bill submitted to DC Comics the day that he passed away.
Wow, what a treasure.
Cow.
And that's like the only thing that they had left. Nothing got saved. Everything got thrown away. Like there's very few things that were held on to because they didn't really see a value in it. Even after my grandfather passed away, my dad had collected some stuff from his apartment to take over to DC and be like, listen, you might want these for your archives, like his gimmick book and some unfinished scripts and things like that. And they said, no, we don't have a place for it. So it just got thrown away. So it's like lost. All that history is gone.
So that's a true treasure, and that's a legacy that I'm sure you'll pass through to your son.
It is. And the only other thing that I got was from Bill's best friend, Charles Sinclair. My grandfather was a writer. He was not into drawing or any kind of other medium as far as his art. And he took one art class at the Y. And he did one sculpture that was based on my grandmother. And beautiful, abstract, but you can tell that it's a woman, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's the one thing that Charles was like, you need to have this. And that's it. There's so little left over.
Wow. And you mentioned your grandmother was Portia?
Yes.
And did you have a relationship with her?
I did. I knew her until I was about pre-teenage, say. Yeah, I was like, I think in the 7th or 8th grade when she passed away. And we would go to New York City. I would stay with her fairly often when I was younger. And then after my dad got ill, it was a little tougher. So, and then she passed away, and then my dad passed away after she did. So it was, you know, it was kind of a weird time in the 80s with, you know, with the HIV and people being really cautious. And so
Yeah, it was a different world then.
It was tough. It was tough. I mean, I loved my father and I wanted to spend more time with him, but circumstances, we didn't even live in the same state. So that makes it even harder.
Yeah.
But, you know, we would try to see them as much as we could. And I have wonderful memories with her. She always made sure I had fresh strawberries because I love strawberries. And we would go into the city and have Chinese food. And, you know, just she was a lovely woman from what I remember.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that personal side of it. And, you know, I'm going to pass it off to you guys.
So one thing
okay,
I want.
Which you? Is it Leo or me?
Either you. Whoever's more excited. Jump.
Leo, you go first.
Well, I mean, we can bounce back and forth, but one thing we haven't really discussed, and people listening or watching will definitely pick up on it. But if you don't know who Bill Finger is, you know, definitely go to
Shame
Hulu.
on you.
Exactly. But I mean, shockingly, you know, yeah, there's, you know, some fans that don't know. I didn't know until I watched the documentary. Hulu has an amazing documentary, Batman and Bill. But, you know, essentially Bill Finger is the true co-creator of Batman. And I mean, you know, I have a picture up here of Batman by Bob Kane, and then Batman after Bill Finger's influence. And without Bill Finger, we would not have the character that we have today. I mean, Bill Finger is responsible for, you know, Batman's secret identity, Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, Robin, Selena Kyle as Catwoman, Vicky Vale, Martha Wayne. Why did it have to be Martha? Joker, Penguin, Riddler, Two-Face. I mean, the list goes on and on. Gotham City to Batmobile, Alfred. You know, all the true essences of Batman is all
But
because of
Batman.
Bill.
It's not just Batman. He also was the co-creator of the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott.
Yeah.
Wildcat was his creation. Lana Lang, he wrote the first Kryptonite story. He wrote for Timely, which is now Marvel. He wrote movies. He wrote 2 sci-fi movies. He wrote for TV. He wrote for the Batman 60s series. I mean, he did so much, and he was so disrespected.
Yeah.
It's so sad. It's so sad. And the contributions to the Batman, I mean, we wouldn't have the mythos that we have today without the stories that he laid down with the foundation. And it wasn't just Bill. You know, Gardner Fox was also writing for the story at the time, and Bill and Gardner didn't really know each other. They were good to each other. And so with my grandfather and Gardner and Jerry Robinson and yes, Bob Kane. But really the first 3 that I mentioned are really the ones that laid down the foundation of what we have today. Really, Bill is what gave us the look and the first notions of what the mythos of this character can morph into and has become. So it's such an important considering what Batman stands to, not just comic fans, but to people around the world, because he is just a man who is overcoming trauma and trying to do the best thing he can for his community, even though he's using a blunt object. You know, so it's I think that the history really is important for the fans to know where these characters are coming from.
Just real quick, Drew.
No, you're
totally
fine. You're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, all the other items you mentioned definitely came up in my research. I mean, Kryptonite, Lana Lang, and you mentioned Timely. He's also responsible for the All Winter Squad from 1946. That is Marvel's first superhero team.
Yes, because he also worked on World's Finest for DC. So he did a lot of the team up stuff. And I mean, Wildcat and Green Lantern were part of the American Justice League and that whole series. So, I mean, he really set a foundation for a lot of the comics that we see today that are still the core elements, but also have these, you know, very unique takes on the characters or even just the concepts of these characters and become something original that people are putting out there. And I think people don't really realize the importance of what these writers and artists have set up for these generations to enjoy and partake in as artists and writers and publishers and everything that goes into putting out a comic or a graphic novel.
Absolutely. Amen. Leo, did you have more?
I do, but we can bounce back and forth. And sorry, I keep repeating myself.
No, it's fine. You barely talk during our normal, so this is great. This is progress, buddy.
I feel like I'm dominating. Usually it's Rick talking all the time.
No, he's been hydrating, so he's fine. You know, fish out of water and all that.
Well, I will ask one question before we hop over to Drew, and I have a couple others, but we can definitely bounce back and forth. With the documentary, Bob Kane is portrayed as a villain. You know, after learning everything, do you hold any animosity towards him?
I don't know him personally. I don't know the family personally. He didn't do anything to me personally, so I don't have ill will towards him, but he did make the villain. People want me to bash on him, but I'm not here to bash on anybody. You know, people want to make him a villain, and yes, he made himself the villain, but I like to look at the opportunities that he gave my grandfather in the 30s, being a Jewish man in the Bronx and not really having any avenues to really pursue the love and passion of writing that he wanted to do in his life. Bob gave him that opportunity and came up with the concept of the Batman for Bill to change. Gave him an opportunity to write and create this world for this character that was fresh and new that no one had ever seen before. Bob gave him money for those stories. Bob gave him an avenue to get connected with DC Comics and get hired directly. So Bill, yes, had this wonderful opportunity, and I don't want to take it away from Bob's role, because he did have a role in it, and it was kind of important. And, you know, I like to look at that part. Yes, he was a jackass, but he made himself a jackass. And that was his own doing. But he gave people opportunities that didn't have opportunities before. And that's pretty awesome.
Well said. Well said.
Wow. This is turning out to be quite an interview.
Actually, I'm going to jump back in because with that, you know, when Bob Kane released that book, Batman and Me, and on page 44, he stated, "Now that my longtime friend and collaborator is gone, I must admit he never got the credit he deserved. He was an unsung hero." Were you aware that happened, Athena, when it happened?
No, I was not aware about the book until Mark Nolan told me about it. And it wasn't really until I met Tom Andrea that we really heard the truth about why Bill is even in that book. Tom Andrea was the ghostwriter.
Yeah, clearly Bob had a habit of using ghost people.
Okay. But again, I mean, Bob wasn't a writer. He was the actual artist. He would draw, so let's cut him some slack, you know. But Tom was like, listen, if you're gonna tell your story, you should really tell the truth, at least part of the truth. So where's Bill?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why Bill is included the way he is in the book, because Tom pushed it. He's like, you can't tell the world that it was just you, because people know it wasn't just you. And you might want to not put that lie in your book. So that's how that came about. And I mean, he should have done something when Bill was alive. Bill was struggling. He was in poor health. He needed health insurance, and that's why he lost his job at DC. You know, there's so many things that Bob could have done to rectify the situation, but chose not to. So again, he decided to make himself a villain in the situation. That was his choice. And that's the legacy left behind, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jeremy's asking, did Bill have any unpublished work that you think should have been or maybe could someday be put out?
Well, like I said, a lot of that stuff ended up in the dumpster because DC didn't want it. So no, there's nothing out there. Unless somebody at DC stole something at some point and never brought it back and it's tucked away somewhere. Nothing that I know of. Nothing that I received from the family. I was lucky to get the pictures that I got.
Well, you never know. Maybe one day, you know, it's I've worked at companies where, you know, they
exactly, you never know. So
yeah. You know, you throw out bulk stuff and somebody goes, oh wait, I can take that.
Exactly. And I mean, that's where some of these art pieces that we have from back in the day ended up being saved, was that somebody saw that it was in the trash or on the floor and picked it up and said, I want to keep this. I think it's cool. And then it gets, you know, put away for 30, 40, 50 years. And then it's found. It's like, oh my God, we found this treasure of all of this original artwork. It's like finding the Mona Lisa that we never had. You know, I mean, we treasure this artwork of the medium of comics, and to not have these original drawings and sketches is such a sad state. It's so sad.
I'm never sleeping on yard sales again. That's what wow. So many lessons today.
Oh wow, I'm educating still.
No, you're doing great. Like me, I was like, don't sleep on yard sales. I'm like, you never know. Or estate sales. Okay.
No,
my problem is with yard sales, I go looking for toys.
Well, yeah. You do toys, I do comics. Yeah. Oh, okay. Is it Leo? Are you good?
You're up, Drew.
All right. So I guess because these two asked a lot of my questions, so this has been great because now I have even less to ask. But one of the main things I want to ask is that, you know, you're the granddaughter of essentially a comic book great, and you know, a lot at conventions and whatnot, you know, there are relatives of creators or children, grandchildren, whatnot. Have you met any other, I guess, children of famous creators, and like kind of like how comic creators after cons will sit down and have dinner and just swap stories? Do you ever just, you know, have like a little group, you all get together, share a beer and just swap stories?
Yeah, I mean, I've hung out with quite a few of the grandchildren of these golden age comic greats. Nikki Wheeler, if it's their name, her grandfather was the one that actually started National Comics, but was bullied out by the mafia. She's an awesome woman. She's got so much historical knowledge. It's amazing, because that's what her grandfather did. I mean, without what he started, because he was also a cartoonist and put out fun magazines and things like that, where he, the first comics, they would just pull strips from the newspaper and then put them in a book together, and there was your comic. Well, he took it a step further and made comics actual stories with characters and things like that. So that was her. She's amazing. She, like I said, she has so much knowledge about the start of comics and medium really came from. The Christy Marston, who is the granddaughter of the creator of Wonder Woman. I've spent a lot of time with her also at conventions. She's so much fun. She's always got her Wonder Woman outfit on, and others. I mean, there's a lot. I've had the fortunate pleasure of meeting a lot of these wonderful people who are connected to the industry, either working for the industry or through relatives. And yeah, we want to share the stories that we have. Unfortunately, I don't have any direct stories because I never met my grandfather, but we get to, to just talk about our experiences with telling our family story and things like that. So it's nice to have other people that are in similar situations.
Okay. Leo, write all these names down. We got to talk to these people. That's all I'm going to say.
There's a lot of them.
Jeremy's asking, do you get asked to sign books? And if so, has there been a Detective Comics number 27?
I do sign books. I might have done a reissue of the 27, obviously. I don't know. I've signed a lot of stuff over the years since I've started coming into conventions and things. But yeah, people ask me to come and they'll have me like sign posters that a bunch of different people have signed, or books that that they've had various artists sign, or they'll have me do a quick little sketch and have me sign
the story last week at Jump School, they find out who she is, and this one guy goes home and he gets his Batman anthology book, and like, oh my God, will you sign this for me? And she says, sure, no problem. And I made his entire week by signing his book for him.
There you go.
Awesome. Nice.
This is a special operations
I love
guy.
The fans. The fans are really what keep me out there and still telling Bill's story, even though Bill's story is important and everybody should know it. Because you know what? It doesn't just happen in the comic industry. If you have something wonderful and you've created it and it's your idea, it's going to be sought after and stolen if possible. It's happened to a lot of people in a lot of different careers and different businesses and government in every walks of life. Someone's going to steal something. If you've got a great idea, someone's going to try to steal it. So, and that's pretty much what Bill's story is, but it's not just Bill. I mean, there's a lot of comic artists that were in that situation. We have Jack Kirby, and we have Dicko, and we have so many others that have been in that situation where they haven't been acknowledged or given the credit of their contributions or of their creations. So it's, it's something that's relevant and people need to be aware, and if they are creators, they need to learn how to protect themselves and their creations. So
agreed.
Well,
it's my job.
And look how educated you have become about an industry that you knew nothing about.
Absolutely nothing.
and you're dropping legendary names and stories. So I mean that's big.
Oh no, she got baptized.
This is also your story, Athena. It's not just Bill's story. It's your story. Bill is a part of your story.
Well, yes, my journey is also a big part of the story because I'm the one that's out there doing the PR. I'm the one that's willing to go out there and meet the fans and things like that. I'm sure my dad would be too if he was here. But unfortunately, he passed away many, many years ago. So I have this big job, and it's not, I kind of look at it as that I'm not just representing Bill at this point. I'm kind of representing that whole group of people for the golden age of Batman, because nobody else is out there representing that group. And the story is important for people to know. I mean, we all want to know where things start, what their origin stories are, and things like that. And the fans and the world has been filled with this lie for so long that really it is important that they know exactly what this group of people have created that we worship and love
Right.
and connect with, and all of the above.
Well, it's more of a movement as well, because it's even happening till today. You know, it's what was it? Winter Soldier, the creator of Winter Soldier, was that it? We were talking about it a few weeks ago.
Brubaker, yeah.
Yeah. And Jeremy's asking, how did you two meet? Jeremy, we covered that earlier, so definitely hit rewind. You got to watch it from the beginning.
Indeed.
Yes.
Wait, Leo, you were going.
I was just going to say, I'm just clearing out the comments here. Justin is saying, is it okay for creators to ask for more money now that the cinema versions have blown up? Definitely, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you have room to renegotiate your contract, it's always a good idea.
Mm-hmm. So, Ms. Finger, so I was going to ask you is, in your time, like as Rich said, you literally knew nothing about this genre, this industry and whatnot, and suddenly now, you know, you're still being a teacher, you're still teaching wherever you go. So in all of your time, what's been the best, like at least one of the best experiences that you had? Like it was one of those, like, this is one of the greatest moments ever since being a part of all this. What would you say?
Oh, wow. There's been so many.
I know.
I've been extremely fortunate
just
because
one.
of the people that I've connected with and have reached out to me. What would be the best?
Well, it doesn't have to be the best. It could be one of the best.
So
It's like
hard.
trying to pick your favorite movie. I always
Top
say,
three,
like,
top three, Athena.
exactly, top
Yeah,
three.
I would say
top
probably
five.
the most surreal was when I went to the first movie premiere, which was The Dark Knight.
Nice.
I hadn't ever really been part of the Halloween or anything like that. So when they asked me to come, it was like a big to-do because for this particular premiere, they had a pre-dinner, which they usually don't do. And this was back when it was in New York still. And at the pre-dinner, there were all these important people there from DC that I have no idea who these are. And I'm like, okay, I know Paul. Love it.
Right.
That's about it. And the people I brought with me. But that's where I met Michael Uslan. And I was like, okay, he made sure he came up to me that very moment that I arrived at this restaurant and told me the story about how he met my grandfather. And we've been friends ever since. And then you go to the movie and I'm doing the red carpet and I'm like, okay, this is completely surreal. Is this really happening? Like, what's going on? And then the after party and then meeting the people that I met, the actors, and just being part of the whole celebration of this movie. It was, when I think about it, since it was my first, it was probably my favorite, even though some of the ones have been a little more swanky or just a little cooler or whatever. They had a nicer goodie bag or whatever, you know, but it was my first, and it was like, wow, this is what I'm coming into. And again, it was that awakening of what task I'm about to take on, fighting for my grandfather and really understanding how I can use the fans at this point and people in the industry that I come across that are willing to help for the fight. So it was like all of this kind of coming together at this one event. So it really is a monumental event for me. So I think more that's the better description for me for that.
Great. Okay. So, and my last question is actually for the King of Atlantis here. Because he's been sitting here patiently just drinking water, and I was like, well, I did have one or two I could ask him. So one, you've done Aquaman. I mean, you've done other costumes, like you said, you were in Star Wars, Fallout, all that. But Aquaman, your name is here is the true Aquaman, and I don't doubt that at all. But essentially, from a comic standpoint, I did want to ask, well, it's kind of three questions in one. One, which is your favorite version of Aquaman? Two, how do you feel the movie with Jason Momoa and whatnot, and then the sequel they're working on, How did you feel? Did they capture, did they do Aquaman right in whatever term that is? And then what's been your favorite moment, like cosplaying? Because every cosplayer has that one moment. They're like, this is amazing and great and stupendous and awesome. So, what was yours?
Okay. First question. My favorite version, New 52. So I like the way they portrayed Aquaman. I love the costume. I love the writing, the art. And as far as Jimmy's question, do I talk to fish? No, but they do what I ask them to do. We don't have a two-way conversation. Second question, the movie did a good job. I think they fell way short. The character that it should have been Momoa Man. Yeah. The movie should have been called Momoa Man. It was not Aquaman. The character you see on screen was very little representation of what Aquaman was ever in the books. So obviously they didn't do their homework. They went their own direction. They decided to do a woke version, or what we call the hipster version of Aquaman. And so no, I think they dropped the ball horribly. And my favorite moment in cosplay was when basically had Jason Momoa hold up a sign showing that I was the true Aquaman. And that was actually published in Sci-Fi magazine.
Nice.
Very cool.
I've met that man, and I that is a huge deal, because when he stood up to shake my hand, I was like, "Oh, you're tall." He's a giant. It was like it was like shaking hands with a tank. It's one of those, like, because I'm 6'2", so I'm used to being taller than people, and then when I meet people who are taller than me, it was like, must be like when the T-Rex met the other bigger predators. I was like, I'm just gonna stay here in the park where I'm king, and I'm just gonna let you do your thing. This is my kingdom. You are the world. I'm gonna stay here. I was just like, oh wow. I'm sweating so much. I'm just shaking your hand. Like, but yeah, that's awesome. That's so yeah, no, I'm good, guys. I think that's everything I had in the tank. So I have more, but yeah.
Well, I got a couple questions, and then we'll let you go. To follow that, Rick, if James Wan is watching, what advice would you give him on the sequel to bring the story up, to fix it?
Ooh, I don't think he has really much he can do at this point. Snyder pretty much set the stage that he has to play on. I think we need a reboot. I'm not a big fan of Gal as Wonder Woman. I think she looks like a Victoria's Secret model wearing a Party City costume. She does not, to me, idolize. I mean, an Amazonian should look like an Amazonian. She looks like a Victoria Angel, and not my pick. Plus, she has an Israeli accent when nobody on the island has an Israeli accent. So it's just a weird mix for me. Ben Affleck as Batman, it's meh. He's okay.
I agree with that.
But
hey, it's better than Christian, okay?
Yeah.
Floated face Batman.
Yeah. So unfortunately, one has to deal with what Snyder painted for him, work with. So really not much Juan can do at this point, but he has to run with it. And unfortunately, Momoa is a one-trick. He's a barbarian. Everything he does is a barbaric character, and Aquaman's not a barbarian. So he is actually a diplomat, somebody who, unless he absolutely has to. Whereas Momoa is a brawler. He wants to fight first, talk later. So again, that's my opinion of what, and I don't think Juan really can do anything about it. And the movie now, apparently the sequel is it's almost like it's a cursed film at this point, with all the problems it's been having.
We've talked about this before, where DC, they're never going to be Marvel. It's not going to be the continuity, juggernaut that Marvel is. But DC has something hidden. They could just do all Black Label. Just do individual stories and don't worry about interconnecting anything. Have
I think
right
that's
now.
why the new Batman movie is going to be a huge hit because again,
Yeah.
it's an independent. It's not tied into the Snyderverse in any way, and it's a fresh look on it. And Aquaman deserves a real look at the character. I don't think he's been done justice in any way. I mean, even with like Super Friends cartoon, he was like the one that they all made fun of, like the poor guy.
Well, Rick, you must like King of Atlantis, the animated movie, yes?
Yes, yeah. They that was cute. I mean, they did a great job. Are you talking about Throne of Atlantis?
Throne of Atlantis. I'm sorry.
He's the king of Atlantis. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Right. Batman.
But
DC does a great job with their animated series and movies and things.
Absolutely.
So and that's something that Marvel hasn't really done all that great with up until maybe recently. Maybe.
Yeah. Kind of.
I mean,
yeah,
the What If series was pretty
Marvel's
good.
dropped the animated ball.
Yes,
yeah. DC animated stuff has been really awesome. Even the video game, the Injustice video game and comic series, I think was an out of the park because it's a very interesting storyline if you actually read the storyline with Superman, and they tried to tie that into the movie with Superman becoming the post-apocalypse or the apocalypse happening because of Superman.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an Injustice tie-in, but just didn't go that distance.
Yeah. Jeremy's asking, what stories would you recommend for Aquaman introduction reading?
I would say the New 52. The New 52 did a great job of just taking the story. So yeah, and they come right out of the gate addressing all the satire that Aquaman's had to deal with. Right out of the gate, they hit it. In the first few pages, it's like, I don't talk to fish. Yes, I eat fish. Yes, and it was great. It's like, all right, let's get that out of the way. Let's get the elephant out of the room, and let's actually start with a story and go forward. And they knocked it out of the park. And again, the story, all of that was just great.
Yes, Jeremy, that's the Jeff Johns, Ivan Reyes run. Yes.
And Drew, I think you were trying to get in there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just had one more question for Ms. Finger because I noticed we're getting to that point. So just the last question I had was very simple. And who is your favorite DC character? And if it's not Batman, that's okay. But just out of curiosity, because we don't want you to feel obvious like, oh, totally Batman,
Well, it's a Batman character. It's Catwoman. Catwoman's my favorite. She's a independent soul in the storyline. She plays all avenues. She doesn't care what side she's on as long as she comes out on her feet. That's what she cares about. She cares about, obviously she almost married Batman and all of that stuff. But really when it comes down to it, it's her survival and how's she gonna walk that line to make sure that she does survive.
So speaking, because it's Catwoman, then do you have a favorite Catwoman? Because, and that's either animated or live action.
Well, the animated series back in the 90s, yes, that Catwoman character was awesome. But for live action, it's definitely Michelle Pfeiffer. She's so hot.
Michelle Pfeiffer. And you saw the video of her still cracking the bullwhip.
Oh,
she's like, still got it. And I was like, we're all good now. So she can still do that. It's one of those. I think we're going to be in our bunk now.
Didn't she do that trick with hitting the candles like on the first shot?
It was something like that.
Yeah, I read something like that. Yeah,
it's either that or because she got the mannequin heads in like one shot.
Right, they did that whole scene in one take. That whole scene where she's using the whip and that was all done in one take. That and she couldn't breathe in her costume. She was
she had like 14 minutes
into it and couldn't breathe. So she wanted to get through the scenes as quickly as possible so she didn't pass out. So yeah,
That's dedication,
impressive that
kids.
she got it on the first take.
Amazing.
Yep. Well, I'm good.
Well, I want to thank you both for joining us today. Absolute pleasure.
Seriously.
We have tons of information in show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And I'm trying to think if I had one more question or not.
Save it for the next one.
Oh,
Can they come back? Ask if they want to come back.
See that? They're opening the door to come back, Leo.
Oh, awesome.
Hint.
We
Sequels are just as good.
Well, I am starting a Batman specific show. We could have you guys have everybody come,
That would be great.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to get the word out about Bill.
Yeah, totally.
And all of Athena and Rick's future projects.
Oh yeah.
All of our adventures.
Oh yeah. We definitely have some projects in the work.
Well, speaking of that, what do you got going on that you can announce, and where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
Well, for me, I'm going to be one of the big projects I'm working on right now is something called Kickback Heroes. It's actually a comedy drama series that we're working on developing. Athena, they're both developers on the show. I'm actually an actor in the series. I'm actually playing an Aquaman parody character called Sea Sapien, and which is and so his character and all the characters in the show have flaws. My character can't hear well on land, but hears perfectly well in the underwater. He was on a night shift superhero gig, and he winds up on a day shift. So his character kind of looks like Batman meets Aquaman. So it's all very dark outfit. A lot of puns. He throws up every time he comes out of the water to get rid of the seawater out of his lungs. So something you don't see in the comics or in the movies. The main character is autistic, but we don't talk about him being autistic. You just know he's autistic. We have another character that breaks the fourth wall, but she doesn't understand the rules of breaking the fourth wall, so she's never looking at the camera when she dialogues. And
sounds very funny.
It is. So we're working on that. It's a production going on with a guy named Isaac Wells, who's a voice actor for a lot of TV and animation series, and out of Jacksonville, which is where the primary photography and video is going to be taking place. So yeah, that's been in the work now for several months, and costumes are actually being put together right now. So we're getting ready to do our concept video, and hopefully we'll pitch it to one of the big streaming services, and if they pick it up, then you may see Sea Sapien on the little screen before too long.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How about you, Athena? Is there anything in the works that you can talk about, and where do you like fans interacting with you?
Well, I am kind of working on a big project right now, trying to put together the Will Finger Foundation, which would be a foundation for up-and-coming comic artists and writers and people who want to get into the industry in New York City, considering that's where Bill was centered. And hopefully once we get the foundation up and going, we can expand it. So people who want to publish their story or need money or classes or supplies or whatever the need is, I'm still trying to put all of that together, but we're putting that together with the hopefully soon, within the next 6 to 8 months, we're hoping that we can at least start getting some buzz around that. I'm going to conventions. I'm going to be in Grand Rapids this weekend. We have a local show here in Orlando in December. We stuff in February, so I'm starting to book up for next year. So I'm making art. So if you want art, you can always find me on Facebook. Just put my name in, or Instagram. Just put my name in, or even Twitter. Just put my name in. You can find me at all those places, or you can go to my website. Again, that's just my name.com. So it's pretty easy to find me. If you want to just reach out and say hi, I enjoy that too. I'll chat you for a little bit. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I sent a friend request to both of you, and
awesome.
For next year, we're actually working with a con in Maryland. I'll see if they can send an invite. I'll try to talk them into it.
That would be wonderful.
Great. Yeah.
Totally.
All right. Awesome.
And
thank you again, guys, for coming on.
I've done the Florida a lot of local shows, so I'm trying to reach fans throughout the area beyond. So
totally, we got to get the word out.
Yes.
Thank you
and
so much.
Aquaman does travel away from the. He does. I do travel away from the ocean from time to time. So.
Right.
Well,
that
to,
is busted. Good to know.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank
if you missed any of that,
coming on, seriously.
Oh, totally.
So,
thank you guys. Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, awesome.
So much fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, we'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'd love to have you back sometime.
Yeah, we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah,
totally.
Awesome.
What they said.
All right, guys. Have a good evening now. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night. And if you missed any of those links, definitely check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And you can find all the information for Rick and Athena. There we go. That was amazing.
That was really awesome.
So for everybody watching, Velvet Joker, Rich set that up. Thank you so much, Rich. I bow to you.
Well done, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. I think that went well. I think they were very responsive, and we did not inundate them with just bullets and bullets of questions, and just kept it nice and personal. And I thought it went well.
I definitely got some good jokes in there.
You did.
Yeah. She's cracking up. I was like, got to make sure that you remember.
It's never happened before, but I'm going to stop Cam because I'm going to have a bladder explosion. So you guys continue for a moment.
Okay,
cool. You go empty your ace chemicals. Got it.
Just a heads up, I did have to block somebody in the chat. There was somebody being an asshat that doesn't realize that we broadcast to multiple locations, a ton of different locations, including Hellfire Radio with over 80,000 people tuning in there. So he was rude, so I had to block him. So
guys, anyone listening, we have a very simple rule. Okay, wait 1 second. D B A D. Don't be a dick. Okay, it's very simple. You don't have to agree with our opinions. You don't have to agree with how we run things. You don't even have to like us as hosts. Okay? Like, people who hated Howard Stern still listen to Howard Stern just because they wanted to see what he said. Okay? It's very simple. All we ask, you can comment, you will do a rest follow-up, all that stuff. Very simple, everybody. Do not be a jackass. Okay? We do not want to have to block slap you. Okay.
Totally agree. And Justin, just so you know, we are trying to get Julie Newmar for a upcoming show,
which will make all fans happy, including my father, who's a fan of that show. So I got to take a second to just pause because that just happened. That was amazing. Okay. And that just that happened. That was my Tuesday night.
Absolutely. We chatted with the granddaughter, the Empress of Bats.
I just friend requested her, and if she and Rich accept, by this point I'm just collecting guest stars like Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, they're super nice, super personable. There was no ego there. It was all love.
Oh no, she was fantastic. She was great. Listen. Point being is, everybody, if you want to meet famous people, okay, either go to a con and pay the money, start a podcast, or get it and be a journalist. There's the 3 ways to do it. Okay.
I'm not documenting the dinner, by the way.
Well, why would we think you would? Like, that's your business.
I'm just letting you know.
Well, we would just expect you to give us the story later.
No. We want him to set up cameras. We will.
Leo wants cameras.
This isn't Leo.
This isn't real world.
Your life is a drama doesn't mean that you know that his life or me, because there's no real world for this.
Just a heads up. Just another Leo story.
Yes, Leo.
I did try to convince my wife that we needed to have a live stream going of our wedding, but she did not fall for it.
No, she wasn't going for it.
No, not at all.
She was like, "You get the X."
Listen. That'd be a bigger listen, buddy. That'd be a bigger explosion when they blew up the Death Star. Like, you don't want that, man. No, you don't want that life.
I did get the Imperial March during our walk-in though. So
nice.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Isn't that kind of like a death march?
Yeah, that's like Leo. No,
wait,
you're missing No. You missed an opportunity, because what should have happened was after you two kissed, then you have the end song for New Hope playing. You know, after Luke and Han got their medals, that would have been awesome, because then you that is great. You're walking down the Death March. Is she marrying you or getting executed?
All right. So Drew is directing the second vows.
There we go. So speaking of Drew brought us a great mini series for this week, and I want to get you to do the synopsis of it. But before you do, I'm going to do a really quick Sophia.
Yay, Sophia!
So picture it, 1997. We're going to do this on the fly. Top, looking at the top movies of 1997. Where did my link go? Damn it. Okay, we're gonna do top TV. Where the hell?
There were movies
Where did it go?
Where's this professionality?
Okay, top grossing movies for 1997. The number one movie of the year was Men in Black with over $250 million. After that is The Lost World, Jurassic Park, Liar, Liar. Do you remember that, Jim Carrey?
Yeah, that was a fun movie.
Yeah, it was. Air Force One. Holy shit. And Titanic. How did Titanic get to number 5? Oh, yeah. And
movie.
Number 6, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope to re-release. Yeah, we had that in the 90s as well.
Yeah.
Top rated TV for 1997. Obviously, Seinfeld and ER. Veronica's Closet. I didn't even watch that.
What the hell?
I have no idea what that is. And Friends and Touched by an Angel.
Watched none of those.
I watched Touched by an Angel. That was pretty.
What was Touched by an Angel about? I've always wanted to ask this. Like, what was it?
It was the guy from Little House on the Prairie, which he was a angel that, like, I don't think he could ascend to heaven or something like that. And he was just, down on earth trying to, it's sort of like Quantum Leap, but with angels.
Oh, speaking of Quantum Leap, R.I.P. to Dean Stockwell, he went the final jump home, guys.
He did. That's sad.
He did. That's the best way I can put it.
But was there a bartender up there?
Get out.
Sorry.
Get out.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. That was good. It was just I wasn't expecting that.
Just to finish up, Saturday morning cartoons in 1997. They were still around. You could watch the new adventures of Batman and Superman, Pinky and the Brain, the adventures of Sam and Max, and Ninja Turtles, as always. And then comics. Top comics of 1997. Darkness was number 1, issue number 11. Superman number 123. Fantastic Four number 1. Captain America number 1. And Avengers number 1. So yes, the 90s. It was all about reboots, right?
Someone's making his way onto the screen.
Yep, I'm just trying to position it properly. Oh, yes, this is my custom Jack Knight Pop Funko that a friend of mine had made for me, because there to this day is still no Starman. So this is about as good an introduction as anything. Hello, kids. Now, funny fact that Athena Finger should bring up Garner Fox, because Garner Fox is one of the co-creators of Starman. Starman being Ted Knight, the hero of Opal City, a wonderful Golden Age hero that eventually retired when he grew too old to do the job, something that was passed down to his son, David. Unfortunately, David would be assassinated early in his career as Starman, and the mantle would be then begrudgingly accepted by his other son, Jack. So Jack, taking on Starman in his own way, chose to create his own Starman identity without wearing the costume, with his father in somewhat of a, let's say, old man Bruce from Batman Beyond capacity, along with his friends in the police force, and our subject of our characters, Shade, or the Shade, a former Golden Age villain, also immortal, who likes to make Opal City his home. So I'm good, guys. I think we caught up. You can take it off me now.
That work.
Yep. So essentially, the reason I recommended the Shade miniseries, and as I was explaining to my collaborators here, is that we've recently seen Shade make his first debut live action on Stargirl. Mm-hmm. He was a member of the Injustice League, where he was a villain, and he has been coming back to assist Courtney Whitmore and her new JSA. I forgot who plays him. Fantastic actor, though, regardless. And I figured that might be an interesting thing. Now, this series was a miniseries that takes part during the Starman series. That was started by James Robinson and Tony Harris, who were basically the primary team for, I would say, about half of the run. I would say, yeah, with the occasional guest artist, of course. This miniseries takes place where it's both a prequel explaining events that happened in Shade's life, but it's also in some way kind of filling in the blanks of his history, considering that Shade is an immortal. He was born in the Victorian England era, how old we don't really know, but what transformed him and gave him his powers has essentially left him immortal. So that's one part of the cool things here. So I could rave about this for the remainder of time that we have, but I won't. I want to, but I won't. So there's so much to say, but first things first, I cannot tell you guys how much I love this entire series. James Robinson, this is still my favorite work that he's ever done. The story, the way he writes, is like I was saying to Leo, if this story was made today, this would have been 8 issues and it would have been drawn out unnecessarily. This tight 4-issue miniseries tells such a rich story that I really feel that you don't see this kind of storytelling in mainstream comics. You might see some of it in independent publishing, but oh man, this is still one of the best. But I'm biased because I'm a huge fan, as you can tell by my friend here. So, guys, what did you think?
Oh, well, I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was easily one of my favorite villain origin stories. It was super dark. Mm-hmm. For the first 2 issues, it was a straight up period piece.
Right.
And then within the story, there were these, I would call it like an interjecture of stories that were going on at a similar time, but yet still somehow needed to be told. Mm-hmm. all in written form, just in text, beautiful poetic text that I don't even know how to, Drew, to put it all together. This was a very original miniseries. I've never seen anything like this. This is a very original concept. Like I said, the first 2 issues were a period piece, and then we had sort of this classic 50s Jay Garrick crossover and introduction of sort of the Shade being not 100% evil, with him having a relationship with Jay and a friendship that develops over the years of them battling. Very, very interesting. I want more. I need more Shade. And there are more, which I have not yet delved into, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. So thank you, Drew, for this introduction.
Yes, and it's so funny because I own the series in issue form. It's not going to surprise anybody here or anyone who knows me that I have all of these issues signed. Because I got to meet James back in 2016 when I put together a Starman group, when him and Tony Heiress were at again, just like Athena and Rich, a small convention. They did a Starman reunion, and I showed up with my entire collection, which is easily over 100 books, and a group of cosplayers who did a favor to me and dressed like the characters. And James's face when he saw that is something that I will never forget. He was flabbergasted, and it was just such a great time. I'm sorry, I'm babbling because I see this stuff, but I've met him. I've met Gene Ha, who did the beautiful artwork that you're looking at now for the first issue. He is a stupendous artist. He also did work, not just for this series, but he did an award-winning work for Alan Moore on their book Top 10. So, which I cannot recommend more to anybody. His style is fantastic. And I've also met Brett Blevins, who did as Rich put it, the issue 3, which was him and his relationship with Jay Garrick, aka the Golden Age Flash. So, Jack, I'm going to put you away for right now. And honestly, God damn it. Sorry, he fell. Yeah, I cannot tell you guys how much it really made me happy to reread this. And again, Rich, like you said, what I love is that James tells a story, and then he'll tell another story, because this is essentially this is an illustrated narration of a journal. And what I love is there are still some stories here that I would love to know. I think I remember rereading one that talks about him, and there's something about a ghost of Pancho Villa, and I'm like, I want to read that story. Like, what? But I think the thing that I really enjoy is that you have an enemy who's essentially immortal, and then you have this family that has a ridiculous vendetta against him, who are so dedicated in their hate that they are literally producing enemies that are essentially for him to fight. And I will say this, that one of my favorite moments in this is the whole Marguerite Ludlow, the one that broke his heart. Like, God, that's heartbreaking, man. You know, again, like I said, this entire little miniseries is just one of the many gems of the Starman series, which I have always recommended to anybody who really just wants to see that not all of 90s DC was a misfire. Like, there were some great stories during this era of DC, and this is one of them, because I don't really think we'll ever see something like this again, and it is such a beautiful thing.
Now,
so yeah,
being Leo, our shining being of positivity, barring, of course, when you are the Snake Assassin. What was
Snake
your
Assassin.
overall thought process on this series?
Yes. What do you think, Leo?
Well, Rich is right. I am mostly positive about things, but yeah, I really enjoyed the series as well. It was very refreshing. The period piece, I absolutely loved it. Just the way it was written is, it's obviously we don't know exactly how people spoke in that era, but I could imagine he did his research, and it just seemed
Oh, yeah.
very authentic for the first two issues. Yeah, just an amazing story. Now, I had trouble reading the handwritten parts. My eyes were messed up that night. But did it explain how he lost his memory?
It's actually funny. I was going to say, because I had a feeling you were going to bring that up, because that's a common question. And James was and this is one of the best things, that he was the writer through the entire series. So right up to the end of Starman, this is just like I said, beautiful, beautiful end. He was the main writer, and then he did, as part of the New 52, he did a 12-issue miniseries that was focused on the Shade. And the last issue of that reunited him with Jean Ha, and they basically explain what happened the night he got his powers and who he is. So if you really want to continue that journey, I definitely recommend checking that out, because it is just fantastic.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
They do explain.
Send me the title and I'll look it up, and I'll.
If you just look up the Shade, and it's the New 52 series. It's
okay,
fantastic. And again, all James, and it shows. It shows, and like I said, it's. I've said everything I can. I can only repeat how amazing I think this series is, because it's such a wonderful testament to how comics are and how comics were. That's the best way I can describe it. And you also get an idea that James, along with his collaborators, they have such a wonderful reverence for the Golden Age. You can just tell by the way that he really goes into, especially when he talks about the heroes, like the way that he described Jay Garrick, some of the, which you now look at it, some of the ridiculous villains of the Golden Age, like the Fiddler, really? No, it's just, again, like I said, guys, I cannot praise this series enough, and it's just so wonderful. And it's actually funny because I actually recreated one of the photos in this. I got a photo of me dressed as the Shade, because I switch costumes with my girlfriend, because when we did the Starman group, she actually dressed as Shade. She's read the whole thing and she loved it too. She was the Shade and I was Jack Knight, and Rich knows this because he knew me first in the cosplay scene. I mean, I'm known for a few cosplays, but one of those is always going to be Jack Knight Starman. And we switched, and I was Shade, and I have a photo with me shaking hands with the actor who portrays Jay Garrick on The Flash, and now also on Stargirl.
John Wesley Shipp.
Yep, John Wesley Shipp, who's, guys, anytime you get a chance to meet
he's delightful. He's a delightful guy.
He's so personable. He really, that's the best choice you could have got for Jay Garrick. He really embodies the Golden Age personality and charm. Like, I have a photo of me shaking his hand, which is similar to the photo. I think it's in the fourth or third issue, where they agree, yes, we'll be enemies again, but we can still be friends right now. And and I got to show, when I got to meet Brett Blevins, who's the artist for the third issue Kids that you're looking at now, I showed him that, and he thought that was amazing. So my point being is, to everybody listening, if it matters to you, that's all that ever matters. If you have a crazy idea that you want to do, If it's for a favorite book and everything, do it. It does not matter the views you get on Instagram, does not matter the hits. Do it for yourself. Get that self-win, because you will never regret that.
And if you're a fan of comic villains and you don't know a lot about the Shade, I highly recommend this book.
Absolutely.
This is an excellent book. And the Shade is, you may think he's a silly character, but he is a deep, dark character.
Oh, yeah. I think that James really elevated him beyond that golden age silliness. I mean, you know, you would just think, oh, it's a well-dressed man who has shadow creatures. But he really added a lot of that personal history and tragedy and darkness, just because, you know, and again, a lot of that was explored in his Starman series. And honestly, guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, if you read the whole thing, like, he really pushes Shade along some heights that I don't think anybody has done since. I mean, for instance, right here, this entire issue is essentially a battle of nature versus nurture. You know, you have Shade discovering what appears to be the last of the Ludlows, and he's stuck with a dilemma. Do I kill you and end this threat like I should have, as he said that, like I should have the first two children who I left alive who spawned this hatred, or do I give you that chance to bury this and be better? You know, it's great. And again, you have also the artwork here is by Michael Zulli, who I also know as someone who's collaborated with Neil Gaiman on his Sandman run. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's why that art style just, again, gorgeous. So like I said, James always chose extremely talented collaborators for Starman, and it really just made the entire thing just a beautiful DC tapestry. I mean, I think my favorite moment in here is when you have them sitting down, and I think Shade offers him like drugs, and he says no thank you, and then the guy offers him this right here. I think he offers him like a chew. Some candy, and they're
I think it was chew.
Yeah. Care for a pinch, and he says, no, do you care for a chew?
Yep. He's like, no thank you, and then they both just laugh about it. I was just like, again, it's just small moments, but they're so wonderfully natural, you know.
Well, you also have, you know, this character that, you know, is definitely, I mean, he's not really an anti-hero. He just goes, you know, willy-nilly killing people. But it's, you know, going back to the beginning where, you know, everything just seemed so prim and proper. Everything, you know, seemed so rosy. You had his family trying to protect him. And then it turns out the family is a bunch of psychos that just, you know, want to, you know, kill him. And, it's just, you have a hero, not really, you have a villain that's not totally dark, and then you end up having a hero that is mostly dark later in the series as well.
Yeah.
You had that balance.
Well, I think the thing being is again, Shade presents a unique opportunity. You have this character who is essentially immortal. You know, he was a blank slate. Whoever he was before the night they gave him his abilities is gone. So he's this blank slate. And he had this chance to reinvent himself. And he found out that not only is he immortal, but he has these horrific powers, which, again, he's used to kill people. He's used to all these things. So he's been a blank slate. He's been a villain. He's been a murderer. He's been a thief. But he, in some ways, you know, he grew bored of it. And he found something that worked, being the cartoony villain to a superhero. And he even said that himself. He was like, yeah, I'm not really like the other villains, but I do keep on good terms because you never know if you're going to need that help. And essentially what Shade is, he's evil-ish, but he has his rules. He's very much an evil, but with morals.
So he's kind of like Dexter.
He's evolved.
Yeah, I guess in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. He's gone from a cold-blooded I mean, listen, his powers were born when he was they were trying to murder him. Let's not forget, we didn't even start on that. This family that has this whole vendetta against him, they found this guy who had no memory. They took him in, and then they're like, oh, now we're going to kill you.
Right.
And so he runs off, hides, and just when they're about to kill him,
he reacts.
As many mutant or such powers emit, they exploded and killed that whole family, and that is why they have the revenge against him. But you know, like you said, he was a bad guy, he was a villain. He killed for no reason. He killed just to eat. He killed to, you know, have treasures, adventures, whatever he needed to do. But then, you know, he comes to the point when, well, I don't need to kill people and all the time, only when necessary.
And just to back up the family, it wasn't just to kill him; it was just to use him as
a patsy. Right.
Yeah, a patsy, because you know the family's been killing people for years. Just to steal their wealth and to build up their own. It's just, and you could imagine that people like that actually existed back then. It's just messed up.
Monsters.
Indeed.
Monsters indeed.
Monsters. So I'm giving this a 4.75 because I feel so strongly about it. And that is a rare rating from me.
Wow. I'm right there. I was going to give this a 4.5. Definitely high up there. Drew,
you picked it, so you got to feel strongly about it.
Guys, I'm giving this one of my rare ones. This is a 5. This is to me, this isn't just a beautiful story. This is this is comics at their finest. And to be quite honest, that's just essentially how I look at it. This is where comics should be. It should just be a wonderful expression of the medium. And that's really all I have to say about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
cool.
There we have it.
There we go. Another show in the can.
Indeed.
This has been an amazing night. We had a great story to read, had an amazing guest. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you're just tuning in now, definitely rewind and go check out the Athena and Rick interview.
Please
and then go pick up Shade. It's available in graphic novel form. So I'm sure you can find that on Amazon or go to your local comic shop. And yeah. You guys have any last words before we wrap it up?
Nah. No. Love you guys. Having fun.
All great.
Well, I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. Definitely check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. For me, I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network, about 40 shows on the network. A lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. Follow these two awesome dudes. Drew, where do you like people interacting with you?
I'm on Facebook. My name is what it is. I'm on Instagram. I'm Ghostbusterman 1984. I do a lot of work with Screen Rant, so I post articles on my Facebook and on my LinkedIn. Or you just look me up, Dramala Screen Rant. Who knows? Maybe there's something that you'll enjoy there. I do a lot of work with the splash pages, the Dorkening. I'm also working a lot with Chris on the Spectacular Spider-Man Salvashima Paracast and a few projects with other projects that hopefully we'll get to a little bit more progress with. And I'm just chilling, just doing the thing,
waiting for Afterlife.
It is what it is. It's just,
While I got you full screen, just real quick, what did you think of the final trailer?
If anybody spoils this movie for me, I swear to God, Gozer, what happens to Gozer is getting off light. I'm going to say that, and I want to make this abundantly clear. I don't care who you are. I don't care how I know you. I will end you if you ruin this for me.
That's awesome.
Well,
I'm assuming you did watch the final trailer, or you're holding off on trailers?
Whoa, Leo. Trailers are fine. I'm holding off on clips. I'm going into this blind. Okay, this is a very rare thing for me. I want to enjoy this the first time.
Oh yeah.
I want to enjoy this myself. Then all of the clips, all of the things. And I promise you, Kittyums, whoever's watching all that, I will not spoil it for you. If you want to have a calm, rational adult conversation in the DMs, shoot me a proton stream, okay? But I swear to God,
I want to shoot proton streams all over Drew's face right now.
You don't, Rich, you do not know what you're asking, man. Do not cross those streams. But my point being is, everybody, and this is stressing for everybody, okay? I don't care what the movie is. I don't care what the thing is. You need to use some basic goddamn fucking respect and understand that not everybody can see it. That's the week of its premiere, the week after, whatnot. Give it fucking time. Okay? Let people enjoy it. If it's been a year and the person hasn't seen it, go hog wild. Okay?
Wait, you mean we can't post spoilers like that Thursday it comes out?
No. That's amazing, because here's the thing. It's basically like,
not saying I would do that. I would.
No, I know. But I'm just basically saying, Leo, that
I could tell you about Dexter's First Blood if you want, but that would be a spoiler.
Yeah, hold off. I'm waiting to watch that.
The way I look at it is this, Leo, is when you're watching a magic trick for the first time, you hate that kid who has to point out how the magician does it.
Oh, it's a magnet underneath the such and such.
Yeah, exactly. Because the kid isn't doing it. The kid is doing it because he wants you to be as miserable as he is.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the way I've always looked at it.
So you're telling me that little kid is a YouTuber that posts the spoiler in the title with the screenshot?
Yes. And here's the other thing I say to that is just don't click on it. Okay? Everybody, just don't click on it. If you want to be blind, stay blind. Okay? Because that's just it. Now, here's the thing. Like, if I'm talking about, like, if you want to understand how it's done after the fact, that's different. That's what movies that made us will go for. Like, I love learning how we made some of the greatest things that we've done in cinema, because it makes you appreciate the people that made them so much more. But what I'm essentially saying is everybody deserves to go into a movie and enjoy it as if it's the first time.
Totally.
If they hate it, that's fine. If they love it, that's great. If it inspires them, whoop-de-fucking-do. Okay? But you taking that joy from them is a selfish move. And I'm sorry, but I have less respect for people that just think that that's okay to do, especially the day the movie premieres.
All right. Well, even before it premieres, like Eternals, friggin' spoilers were leaking like before it came out.
Yeah. You know why? It's because essentially the way the world is, and Athena pointed this out, it's all about what attention you can get. You want that clickbait. You know what I mean? You want that attention, that circulation. The word of mouth is still strong. Okay. And I like how we were saying goodbye and suddenly we got caught in the
Sorry.
So my point being is, guys, okay, just before I say anything, I hope y'all enjoyed the movie. Okay. I know, because I already got tickets for the 18th. Okay.
Nice.
So, but my point being is, it's the same thing that we said while Rich was giving his own toilet a chemical bath. All right. It's very important. Everybody, just be better. Okay. Don't be a dick. Doesn't just apply to this podcast and when we have guests. Okay. Just be better.
Don't be a dick.
Okay.
Totally.
That's all I have to say.
And on that note, good night.
Well, Velvet Joker, where do you like people interacting with you?
Well, on the Facebook, I be known as the Rich Davis. You can hear me here every Tuesday night on the Splash Pages with my beautiful co-hosts, Leo and Drew. And you can find me on the gram at the Velvet Joker 2021. That's where I be.
So are you going to change that to 2022 for next year?
Nah, screw that. Let's go classic.
Speaking of 2022, we got some big stuff happening. So I will clue you in because I would definitely like your help on some stuff. But with that, we will catch you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.
Peace out.
Bye, everybody.
Show me the money.